I'm Dylan Dubasar. This is my informative speech two. It's my cousin Eric, my mom Carla, my dad Brad, my aunt Jody, my grandma Mama Joe. Imagine never stopping at a gas station again. No oil changes, no exhaust fumes, just a smooth, quick ride powered entirely by electricity. That's the experience electric vehicles, or EVs, are making more and more common today. But how did we get here? Cars have came a long way since the early days, and the story of their evolution is more fascinating than most people realize. Today I want to take you through that journey, how cars have evolved over time, and why electric vehicles are becoming more than just a trend. My goal is to inform you about three key stages in this transformation: the history of the traditional cars, the early days of the electric vehicles, and the modern EV revolution that's shaping our future. I've studied transportation history and followed the rise of EVs through trusted industry sources like the International Energy Agency and major automotive publications. Whether you're a daily commuter, a tech enthusiast, or someone concerned about the environment, this topic affects all of us because the way that we move is changing fast. Cars have undergone major transformations since the 19th century, and today's shift to electric vehicles represent one of the most significant technological leaps in transportation history. So let's start at the beginning with invention, and early developments of automobiles. The first gas-powered vehicle invented in 1885 by Carl Benz was invented in 1885 by Carl Benz. Before that, there were attempts at steam and even electric vehicles, but gasoline-powered cars quickly gained dominance. Why? Because internal combustion engines were more efficient and practical for longer distances and rugged roads. Then came one of the biggest breakthroughs, mass production. In 1908, Henry Ford revolutionized the industry by introducing the assembly line with the Ford Model T. According to the Henry Ford Museum, this innovation slashed the time it took to build a car for over 12 hours to just 93 minutes. Cars became more affordable, reliable, and accessible to the average family. Suddenly, the automobile wasn't just a luxury, it was a way of life. But here's something surprising. Electric vehicles were actually a serious competitor in the early 1900s. In fact, let's rewind for a second and talk about the EVs. How EVs nearly won the race before gas-powered took over. In the early 20th century, electric vehicles were incredibly popular, especially in urban areas. They were quiet, clean, and easy to operate, which made them ideal for short trips around town. The U.S. Department of Energy reports that by 1912, electric vehicles made up nearly one-third of all American roads. Imagine that. One in every three cars ran on electricity over a century ago. But this golden age of early EVs didn't last long. As gasoline vehicles became cheaper and more powerful, and as infrastructure like gas stations spread quickly, electric cars lost ground. Limited battery range and a lack of charging operations made them less practical. So, by the 1920s, electric vehicles had mostly disappeared from the roads. Fast forward several decades, and gas-powered cars ruled the world. But then a new wave of electric vehicles started to emerge, and this time, the momentum didn't fade. This brings us to today's EVs revolution. The rebirth of electric vehicles began in the late 20th century. One major turning point came in the 1990s when California introduced its zero emissions vehicle mandate. This policy pushed automakers to explore alternatives to gas engines. Early EVs like the GM EV1 and the Toyota RAV4 EV made a small but important mark. Then came Tesla. In the 2000s, Tesla Motors completely changed the game. The launch of the Tesla Roadster and the later Model S showed the world that electric cars could be fast, stylish, and high-performing. According to Investopedia, the Model S earned widespread praise and strong sales, helping Tesla become a major force in the auto industry and providing that electric vehicles could compete with and even outperform traditional cars. Since then, EV market has exploded. Advances in battery technology have extended range, charging networks are expanding across the country, and governments around the world are offering incentives to speed up adoption. The International Energy Agency reported in its 2022 Global EV Outlook that more than 10 million electric vehicles were on the road by the end of 2021, and the Environmental Agency has rolled out tough emission standards for new vehicles, aiming to make 67% of all new cars sales electric by 2032. That's a dramatic shift from today's roughly 10% market share, but it shows just how fast everything is changing. So what does that mean for all of us? Well, it means the future is being rewritten, and we're witnessing in real time. Let's quickly recap what we've covered. We started with the birth of the automobile and how gas-powered vehicles became the standard. Then we looked at the early rise and sudden fall of electric vehicles in the early 2000s, or in the early 1900s. Finally, we explored the modern EV revolution and how it's reshaping everything from manufacturing to environmental policy. But this story is much more than just a history lesson. The evolution of car isn't just about technology. It's a reflection of our changing values. From convenience and cost to sustainability and innovation, what we prioritize has shaped the way that we get around. So the next time you see an electric vehicle glide by in near silence, remember, it's not just a car. It's a symbol for how far we've come and how we're still going. Thank you.